Hey guys, this is Matthew Matoyer with another tutorial, and today we're going to be talking about not just importing the DAZ3d characters into Cinema 4D, but specifically how to use materials and how to use lighting to your benefit when dealing with some of these DAZ3d characters. I use them a lot for my daily renders, and I get all sorts of different looks and feels with them, and I thought I'd share how I like to approach my workflow. So let's get right into it. So we're in DAZ3d, and I have selected my character, and I've applied, clothes, hair, all that stuff, materials, and I've exported them into Cinema 4D. And what I'm going to show you guys now is I'm going to show you guys my technique, what I like to call the fast textures option and my more realistic look. So we're going to start off with the quick textures. So what I mean by quick textures specifically is that when I import these, when I export them from DAZ, I just use the default materials. So as you can see here, this character here is using these default materials. They are not Octane materials at all. The skin materials are actually default standard Cinema 4D materials. Now, why do I do this? Just most of the days when I'm doing my daily renders, I only have 40 minutes to get to work. So most days I just don't have the time and the resources to really make sure that the materials are hyper realistic. And if I don't have that time, then I don't do it. So this is kind of my workaround, and I use this, I would say, in about 65% of my renders with humans. If we're not doing a close-up, then I will definitely just go for these. So the first main thing that I do is, if you can see the clothes here, I do swap the clothes out. And I think the reason why is just by doing this a lot. The materials, if your clothes have good materials on them, I just feel like it's a lot easier for you to, it like tricks the eye maybe. It's just like you see those little specular highlights down here on the pants. And I just think that and same with the shirt, there might be some more like detail and normal maps in those, but for the most part, when I look at this, it just kind of tricks my eye, because it's like, well, the clothes look really real, so the skin looks okay. Again, the specular of the skin and stuff, you could easily convert these to any like a C4d Octane material and just take down the spec, but like, again, sometimes I just don't have the time. So the number one thing when using these materials is not just that I like to really make sure that the clothes are good to go. So I just like to make sure that the clothing materials are Octane materials. These are the pants. So these do have all your normal maps, your roughness maps, your displacements, all that stuff. It has all that. But the nice thing about it is once you have that done, you don't really have to go into like anything else. I am using just a default specular material with a 1.2 index for the cornea, the eye, and the tear duct, all that stuff. So again, and obviously the hair and the eyelashes, I do use the textures so that it looks like hair and eyelashes versus not. But the biggest thing with this quick texture set or the quick material set, is that it's all really in the lighting, right? So if you go in here to my light, I have a area light for the fast textures. I've actually found that when you start to use less power on your lights, and if you come into your camera, or actually we'll use our universal Octane settings, when you come in here, you're almost better off kind of increasing the exposure. The reason why is because having these default materials, there's nothing being absorbed, right? So real skin obviously absorbs light, its subsurface scatters it, and it changes it. So this being not real skin, you almost have to lower the light and increase the exposure, and then that's a cool way for you to kind of get around it, right? Now, it does get difficult if you start using, I don't know, a model of a plant and that's got subsurface scattering on it. It might show how flat this is, but I love this because in post-processing, I'm able to take this sort of look and make it look more painterly. So it kind of gives it a painterly effect, and that's really, really cool, and I really love it. Now, again, so when you do this quick material set, go for less power on your lights, maybe more power on your exposure and your camera, and I think you're going to be okay. I think you can get some really nice results with that setup. Now, I have a secondary character here. This one, it's the same model, but this one, as you can see, this one has much more realistic material setups here. So like if you go over here to the face, you'll see that it's a lot more, it's much more complex. And I think the idea here is, again, this has subsurface scattering, and this has all the materials as well for the face. So the first thing you'll notice is when I bring it in with the low res light, it just looks too dark, right? So if I turn this one on, you'll start to see almost immediately that this light, yes, is blown way out. It's at 350, right? So we'll go back, we'll lower my exposure because that wasn't that high. And again, now we're getting into something that's a little bit more realistic. Now, obviously the biggest benefit of this is that the skin is not only just scattering stuff. So if you put like the light behind the ears, you'll get some scatter, but obviously we have detail, right? So the detail in here, right? So when we get close to the face, you're going to start to see the pores. You're going to start to see the specularities. You're going to start to see all that stuff. So this is for more close-up shots, I would say. Right? So it's going to give you that more realistic look and that more realistic feel. So if you're doing some sort of a quick macro shot of a face, this is what you're going to have to do to get there. But again, once we start to get over here, I start, you kind of still see some of the pores. So like this is, again, another reason why if you're doing a medium to close-up shot of a model, you're going to want to do the more realistic skin if you want it to look really real. Again, with post-process editing or like effects, you can still get this one to look painterly, but it just does have a little bit more realism in it. That being said, I'll put them side by side and kind of show you, what they look like near each other. Like I said, I can also go into maybe which ones I prefer, which to me, I actually prefer the quicker one, just because it allows me to be more fluid and quick. Renders are lower and everything else. And as you can see with the same light source, look at the difference, right? Like now you can see them side by side, just a massive difference. The one on the right it just looks more realistic. It looks like it's got more color in the face. The shadows aren't as dark. You almost get more reds around like some of the nose areas and stuff like that. And it's less shiny, right? Because it's taking that light and it's scattering it through the skin. But yeah, I mean, I told you guys I was going to keep it short, and that's about as short as it gets. I did want to show you guys one thing in case you have not seen anyone walk you through how to find these DAZ textures. I'll show you how to do it. It's really easy. So basically, when you're in DAZ3d, they keep all their textures in a folder because of the way that it's coded and everything. So what you'll do is, like, let's say you wanted to do the pants here, right? So if you click on the pants and you come down here to surfaces, you find your pants, and when you click this down, it shows you the different materials. It's broken down into the front and the back, which is exactly how it got imported into Cinema, right? So front and back. So this is them. That being said, you'll see them in here, right? You'll see these textures in here. All you have to do is right click. Oops. You just have to go in. Wait, my right click's not working right now. Let's try the mouse. So you go in here, you click on this, left click, and when you go to browse, it shows you where you're at. So if you go to public documents, my DAZ3d, runtime, textures, all this stuff, you'll find all the materials you need. What I like to do is I'll copy these, right? I'll copy this path, and then I'll take those textures, and then I'll copy and paste them into a folder somewhere. That way it's just not hidden anymore, and then I just reapply them in Octane, and that's how you get your textures. For the most part, all that stuff is pretty, all the DAZ3d textures are in there. And so yeah, like when you get into your renders, just make sure light plays a huge part in this, and just make sure that like one of the biggest issues for me was when I would go through and do these daily renders and I would try to make these people, always take time into account and take into account what you need it for. So if you need a close-up, then use the real one. If you don't need the close-up, then maybe you can get away with something with a little bit less light and less textures and keep your render times low and still be able to accomplish your goal, your task, your art. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you next time. Thank you.